Hey guys, my name is Savannah and today we are visiting another zoo, this one being the Alaska Zoo. So I visited Alaska back in September of 2022, just now getting around to putting the footage together for you guys. But while I was there, I was able to tour a few different facilities, this being the first one. So we're going to walk through and take a look at all of their exhibits and the animals that I saw. I'll also tell you a little bit about the zoo, talk about history and things like that. For those of you that play the creative games that we play here on the channel, Planet Zoo, Prehistoric Kingdom, Jurassic World Evolution 2, hopefully you can draw a lot of inspiration from design, layout, and just overall exhibits and animals and things like that that you'll see along the way. So as we walk into the entrance, we're going to go off to this first exhibit here on the left, which was the seals and the otters. Unfortunately, we didn't see the otters, which was a bummer because they're one of my favorites. Throughout the video, we have fairly good weather, so I was very happy about that because it did rain while I was there and fortunately held off so that I could tour the zoo and not have to rush and run out of the rain. But here we are looking at the harbor seals, I believe they were. Again, back in September is when we were at the zoo, so I'm going to try my best to remember everything about this day. But you can see here them swimming around in their exhibit. A lot of the animals were actually very active, so we spent a lot of time watching them swim around, run around, and just overall enjoy their little exhibits. But as we are touring this first one, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about the Alaska Zoo because it has a really interesting story, one that I was not expecting when I Googled the Alaska Zoo to kind of learn about it and how it became a zoo and everything like that. So let me go ahead and share that with you. The Alaska Zoo, formerly the Alaska Children's Zoo, opened to the public in August of 1969. The zoo's story of origin is very uniquely Alaskan. It all began back in 1966 with the arrival of a baby circus elephant named Annabelle. A grocer in Fairbanks had won a Crown Zellerback tissue sales contest, whatever the heck that is, and the company was offering a prize of $3,000 for a baby elephant. While this was likely a gimmick by the company at the time, the grocer surprised everyone when he decided to choose the baby elephant as his prize. So Annabelle, the Asian elephant, was brought from her life as a young circus elephant to the last frontier of Alaska. The grocer quickly realized that he was lacking the ability and facilities to care for a baby elephant in the wild of Alaska. Wow, what a shocker. An elephant is not meant to be in Alaska with just anybody. With winter approaching, he decided to reach out to people who might have a warm place for Annabelle to live. He landed on the doorstep of Sammy Sewell, the owner of the Diamond H Horse Ranch in Anchorage. She had horse sense, was great with animals, and most importantly, she had a heated horse stall. So Annabelle came to live with Sammy, and the two developed a close and special relationship. She was known for taking Annie for walks near her house and property, and many neighbors would later recall seeing her with Annie walking down the wooded roads. It didn't take long for word to get out that Sammy had an elephant in town. People were contacting her and stopping by day and night to see Annie. As time went on, Sammy started to consider a better way to let the public interact with Annie while also pursuing her interest in providing care and homes for orphaned and injured wildlife. She quickly saw the need for this and was approached by wildlife officials who had an orphaned black bear, later named Tuffy, an orphaned Arctic fox, later named Sally. In 1968, the Alaska Zoo was incorporated as a non-profit. Land next to the horse ranch was prepared and the Alaska Children's Zoo opened its gates August 2nd of 1969. From that point forward, the Alaska Zoo became a place for locals and visitors to make memories. Generations of families have raised their kids on our trails, fostering a connection with animals and the natural setting of the zoo's grounds. Hundreds of thousands of animals have been through the zoo's facility, many finding permanent homes here, while others were sent on to other zoo homes. Zoo employees have worked tirelessly to save the lives of animals in need, building strong partnerships with local, state, and federal wildlife agencies, as well as local and corporate businesses. Our education programs have grown to offer all of the programs you would expect to find in any large city zoo. We do all of this as a nonprofit built on the solid foundation of dedicated employees and zoo supporters whose donations and visitations have made the zoo what it is today. We are thankful for all the memories we have from the past 52 years. It all started with a baby elephant, a compassionate animal lover, and a dream to provide our community with a connection to animals and programs. What a crazy story. Somebody literally won a baby elephant in some tissue contest. I was shocked reading that. Now, granted, it does have a very happy ending. Unfortunately, that story about giving away a baby elephant and bringing an Asian elephant to Alaska, probably not the smartest idea. Maybe in other circumstances would not have worked out, but it sounds like it did. Obviously, the Alaska Zoo was founded and they do a lot of good for the community, wildlife, and things like that today. You'll see in the video, if we haven't seen it already, because I wasn't quite paying attention to what I've toured so far, they do have some specific exhibits set aside for wildlife rehabilitation. So bringing in injured and sick or orphaned wildlife for the purpose of reintroducing it back into the wild, which is really important for an area like Alaska that does obviously have a whole bunch of natural wildlife surrounding the zoo and that area. What I really liked most about the Alaska Zoo was kind of the small town, but also in the wilderness kind of feel that it had to it. Many of the exhibits felt just like fenced off areas of what would naturally be there. Very lush, lots of trees, really natural exhibits. And of course, it's all rainy and muddy, so everything looks a little bit damp and stuff like that. But it was very pretty to kind of walk around and see how these animals live in their natural environment. We're looking at the goat petting zoo, which unfortunately was not open when I walked up. It didn't open until a little bit later, and then we ended up not coming back. I don't have necessarily a need to pet goats, so we just kind of toured everything else and watched them eat for a little while. But I really enjoyed my time in Alaska. It was my very first time going. We went, as I said, in September, very end of September, and the weather was beautiful other than the couple bits of rain that we got. Leaves were all very pretty. Weather was not too bad temperature wise, and so it was a pretty good visit. Now, this little baby porcupine I do want to tell you about because it's the most adorable thing I saw there. Check it out when it comes over to say hi to us. There was a little sign on its exhibit that said, "I'm new, I'm still getting accustomed to humans," so I'm not sure where it came from, but he's basically not over people yet, where we're interesting and fun. So he comes right over, stands up, and says a little hello. It was absolutely adorable. It was my favorite part. Look at how cute he is. And then he kind of just, okay, no big deal, kind of walk away and continue on with his little business. So that was pretty cool to see him. He has lots of toys and stuff in his little exhibit. And yeah, it looks like a happy little guy. This is the rehabilitation area that I was talking about before. So there's a little baby deer in here, and then there was either a raven or a crow, I'm not quite sure which one it was, in the exhibit next to this. And then after we tour this one, we're gonna walk by the baby bear cub exhibit that they have set aside specifically for when they get orphaned baby bears in, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, because ideally they would be out in the wild with their parents. There was no baby bears in there, so we couldn't see any when we were there to visit. But there are lots of little rehabilitation rooms inside this little window with heating lamps and things. I don't remember exactly what kind of animals they had in there, but there was a few kind of smaller animals on the inside. And this baby deer was super, super cute. Getting really friendly with people, so I'm not sure what its prospects are of being released because it basically followed us up and down the fence and was really interested in what we were doing. I've heard, I have no experience with it, but I've heard that deer are really difficult to rehabilitate because they get so habituated and friendly with people so easily, especially orphans that are all by themselves that don't have conspecifics to grow up with. They get really friendly. Here is that little baby bear exhibit. Many of these exhibits, as far as fencing and stuff like that, are very kind of simple, very chain link fence. But you can see this one looks relatively new, very well built. I love the kind of cave mound hill in the back. It looks like the bear's bedrooms are underneath that like little hobbit hole type mound, and then they can obviously go on top of it with the grass. I thought it was such a cute little setup, and like I said, unfortunately/fortunately, there was no baby bears in there when we were visiting. The zoo has a lot of these kind of pre-constructed, just placed down exhibits, which is very inspiring to me because when I'm playing in Planet Zoo or Prehistoric Kingdom, oftentimes my thought goes straight to the biggest, the best, the most themed, the most interesting, and it's nice to remind myself that exhibits don't have to be, you know, over the top with their theming to be appropriate for the animals. So it was pretty cool to see some of that walking around the zoo and take inspiration from that. Now these guys, I had never seen these guys before, and let me tell you, you're lucky that you cannot smell through the screen. As someone that works with animals, I am very accustomed to stinky animals, and normally it doesn't bother me whatsoever, but these guys, they smell very bad. He is a very stinky animal. He's all muddy and having a good time rubbing up against the fence right here, and he goes over to his water and starts pawing at it. I'll follow him over there in just a little bit, but yeah, these guys, very, very stinky. There was a couple more in kind of a back holding pasture back behind his exhibit. So I'm not sure, I mean, this he or she, I don't actually remember why this one was alone, but this middle wall here that he's kind of butting his head up against, there is a gate there that they can either shift animals over. I imagine he possibly is a shifting animal where the keepers aren't going to work open contact with him, so they probably push him to one side to clean the other and back and forth. I mean, who knows? He might be a very friendly animal. I know nothing about keeping these guys in captivity, so I'm only speculating. But that's what this middle wall is there is a gate in the middle of it to separate one exhibit from the other, and the right-hand side is completely empty, which is why I'm guessing that it's a shiftable exhibit. Walking over here to the red fox exhibit is a really good example of what I was talking about. It's literally just a fenced-in section of land with natural trees and plants and things all growing inside of it. We caught the tiniest of glimpse of the red fox. Obviously, these guys are nocturnal, so not running around and having fun in the middle of the day. So I wasn't able to catch it on camera, unfortunately. But you can see he has a little house, and then there was some little kind of holding pens in the back left-hand side. The Alaska Zoo does have a tiger. They actually have two Amur tigers, so we're gonna go take a look at them. They were out and about and walking around, very, very active. And they have a really cool exhibit. You can see here when we approach, we're going up this little boardwalk, and then we're going to be able to get a bird's eye view, basically, or a elevated view of the exhibit. And you can also go down below. But walking up here, you get a really good view of the exhibit in its entirety, and you're able to look down on the tigers without any fencing in the way. You can see the big guy sitting right there on top of his platform. There were two on exhibit. I don't know if that's the only two they have or just the two that were on exhibit when we were there, but the other one comes out in just a minute and starts walking around. But again, just a fenced in natural area. They have kind of another like hobbit hole type setup where their bedroom is down below. At one point when we were watching them, they both kind of ran down in there. I'm assuming it was almost feeding time because they both perked up their ears, looked where they're at right now up on top of the hobbit hole, looked over that fence, and then ran down to their bedroom. So I'm imagining from where they're at up on there, they can either see keepers approaching or see keepers walking around, and then they run down because they know, you know, being brought back into their bedrooms or they're back holding space so that keepers can put food on exhibit or feed them back there. Very smart animals, obviously. So they got really excited towards the end of kind of watching them. But here's the down below where you can see them kind of walk around a little bit closer, but again with fence in the way. Moving on to another exhibit, one of my favorites, little coyotes. So there was 2 in here. They were playing around and having a great time. They're very fluffy and fuzzy for winter to keep them nice and warm. Excuse me, but you'll see them in just a minute. The one that's on the right now has a little bit of a limp, but gets all excited, plays around, kind of does like a play bow, gets a little bit of the zoomies. It's really cute. One of my favorite things about watching wild animals, especially things like any canines or felines, is when they show those behaviors that so closely mirror your own home pets. When, you know, cats roll on their back, or when they bat things around with their paws, or like for these guys, if they get a little bit of the zoomies and do their little play bow. It just is really cool to see them so relatable to your house cats and dogs that you have at home. So see here, he gets all excited, wiggling his tail, runs around. The other one kind of doesn't want anything to do with him, which I felt bad, but this one obviously really wanted to play, and I thought it was absolutely adorable. So many of these animals I sat and watched forever, and you're really only seeing the little snippet of what was the most interesting thing for me. And for you guys when they're being, you know, active and running around, and look at him wag his tail. It's absolutely adorable. But I could have watched these guys forever. I don't have any other information on these guys, like why this one has a limp or anything like that. I don't know if it was an injury he got while he was here, or one that he got and that's why he's a zoo animal. But they do have moose here as well. So you can see this guy over here laying down. One thing that I did not realize, because I don't think I'd ever seen a moose in real life before, they're massive. They're so big. This one's laying down, but I did see other moose in another exhibit kind of standing up and walking around. Such big animals. Oh my goodness. Now I know why they are, I mean, so dangerous and people are kind of afraid of them in the wild, is they're so big. But it was really cool to see them in person. Walking across that little bridge, we come over here to our doll, sheep, and mountain goat exhibit, which is pretty cool. Built up on a hill, and I loved the sheer side of rocks. I really wanted to see some of them kind of navigating that and walking around, but unfortunately it was nap time for them. We see one over here on the hill kind of laying down, but I'll give you a good pan of the exhibit. But it's all built up onto this hill so that one side can have that rock wall, which I think is really cool because obviously that's the kind of environment these guys are meant to live in. So recreating that is really important for them in their captive life as well. I think I passed him. I don't think at this point I realized that he was like right there until I turn around and see, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, he's okay. So if you pause it, he's back up just off center, like up on the top of the hill between 2 trees. He kind of blends in with the sky, kind of hard to see. So hopefully you can see him, but he was just napping, laying down and resting, staring at me. And then I did not see any doll sheep, unfortunately. They must be all back up on the top of their exhibit because they are split. The doll sheep and the mountain goat have 2 separate exhibits with that fence in between. But here's the sign for the doll sheep. Unfortunately, like I said, I did not get to see any of them. But yeah, there's their exhibit. And then we're going to move on to another one of my favorites and a really cool exhibit, the snow leopard. So these guys have a nice kind of rock built up exhibit, and they were right in front. Both of them end up coming down, and you can see the one down on the left. I'll get a close-up view of them kind of sitting down on the ground and grooming themselves. But how pretty are they? Snow leopards are so pretty and so elusive, and it's so cool to be able to see them in captivity. This one looked like he was a bit of an old guy. You could see some cloudy fogginess in his eyes, her eyes. Probably has a little bit of cataracts, but such a pretty animal nonetheless. And then we move over here because this one came down to say hi. And I loved that the bottom was open, and I, like a weirdo, was sitting in the dirt on the ground watching these guys because, as you can see here, when I move my camera down, you can get a really good view and you're like really up close to them, very up close. So it was really cool to see these guys hanging around and relaxing in their exhibit. What am I going to see now? Oh yeah, the bears. So they do have bears. Again, we're going on this little boardwalk area. Similarly to the tigers, you get to come see these bears from above. I feel like in looking at this exhibit and how it was constructed, potentially was where the elephant was kept when they did have elephants at the zoo. Because the barrier and the kind of doors, I don't show them, but like the housing area kind of looked like it might have been made for an elephant and then just retrofitted for bears. You can kind of see there's hot wire all around the top of the fencing. Otherwise, the bears would absolutely be able to get out. But that's just my guess. I have absolutely no facts to base that on. And then we have, of course, a bald eagle in this really pretty aviary. These guys weren't really doing much of anything, but there is a part, you can kind of see it up there. There's a railing up above. You can walk behind this aviary and get a view from them down below, which is pretty cool. A lot of these exhibits, you can kind of view them from either side, which is really nice because that means if the animal moves around, you still get a chance at looking at them. This was a black bear exhibit, and unfortunately my GoPro, that's what I film on, died right at this point. So this is the only shot that I have of the black bear exhibit. And the next couple shots you're gonna see were shot on my phone just because I didn't want to miss out on this vlog. These are Tasmanian devils, I believe. No, wolverines. I'm sorry, I knew they were one of them. I'm pretty sure they're wolverines, and the keeper had just finished putting out all of their snacks and treats and things, which included like lettuce and popcorn, and everything was drizzled in honey. So it's really cool to watch them run around and kind of find everything. You can see a couple of them kind of quickly settled on big hot spots where the keeper had put a lot of different stuff. This guy closest to us on the concrete was sniffing and licking up the honey that the keeper had drizzled there. So it was pretty cool to see. And then last but not least, we're going to take a look at, I think, the newest exhibit that was built. This is the polar bear exhibit. Really, really cool. Has a really wide viewing area, big area for the bear. Unfortunately, we only saw a little tiny bit of the bear. He's kind of peeking out in this shot here from the very back. And then he went right off exhibit and he didn't come back. So you can see him right there. And then I have another quick little shot of him. I think Cranberry, I feel like was the name. It was something silly like that. But there you go. There is the polar bear. And that was all that I saw. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are enjoying these zoo tours, be sure to let me know by leaving a comment, hitting a like on the video. All of that helps me out, and I greatly do appreciate it. I have a few more coming your way, so hit the subscribe button if this is the kind of stuff you're interested in. You can find me on all of my social media accounts. All those links are down in the description, including the link to our merch shop if you're interested in any animal-themed cute stuff. And until next time, I will talk at you guys in the next video. Bye!